Welcome to the wonderful world of Wednesday. It's time for your midweek pick-me-up. I'm Matt Robinson.
And I'm Woody Walden, and this is your Humpday Update,
where we keep you up to date on all the important real estate news so you can run that smart real estate business, which means
stress-free,
money and credit-free,
asset-free,
risk-free,
and tax-free investing strategies that work right now in this market.
That's right. Now, for those of you out there who work with distressed homeowners in the state of Florida, or if you've had the unfortunate experience of being foreclosed on yourself in the last couple of years, you've probably stumbled across the name David Stern.
Yeah, and no, we're not referring to the commissioner of the NBA, that is.
That's right, Woody. This David Stern is the commissioner of Nasty. And as chief repo man in the Sunshine State, he's been dubbed Florida's godfather of foreclosures.
Now, up until a few months ago, he was the envy of all his friends, racking up huge profits as he cranked out thousands of foreclosures a year. Mr. Stern was living like the Sultan of Brunei, with multi-million-dollar homes, seven-figure sports cars, and a trophy wife to boot. He also loved to spend time funning and sunning on his massive yacht, affectionately named Misunderstood.
Oh no, Davey boy, I think we understand you just fine.
Yes, we do.
We understand that you're an absolute slime ball, a money-grubbing, dishonest little excuse of a man, and your chickens are finally coming home to roost. Now, Woody and I don't have a problem with a guy making a big profit, and we also don't have a problem with someone enjoying the fruits of their labor. Our issue is with the way that he did it, and the unbelievable lack of morals or business ethics at his law firm.
Now, those that were close to Stern said he was often caught bragging about taking mortgages from the cradle to the grave. And when speaking about the federal government's disastrous homeowner relief plan, which is supposed to keep people from getting evicted, he joked, "Fortunately, it's failing."
But he's guilty of far worse than just arrogance and bad taste. The Florida Attorney General's Economic Crimes Division is investigating 3 law firms, including Stern's, over allegations that they created fraudulent legal documents, gouged homeowners with inflated fees, steered business to companies they own, and filed foreclosures without proving the bank actually had a legal interest in the loan.
Unbelievable. And according to employee testimony, Stern's lackeys turned out bogus mortgage assignments, fake signatures, falsified notarizations, and foreclosed on people without verifying their identities, the amounts that they owed, or who even owned the loans. The Attorney General is also looking at whether Stern paid, kickbacks to some of his big bank clients, which include all the usual players of Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citibank, and GMAC. But there's a much bigger issue at play here, and it really has nothing to do with David Stern. Though Mr. Stern was a big baller in his own little world, and certainly a big fish in a small pond, in the grand scheme of things, he's really small potatoes.
That's right, Woody. Stern handled about 20% of the foreclosures in Florida. And while that certainly made him the biggest shark in the Sunshine State, there were plenty of other players in the world of mortgage evictions. The bigger question is, how in the world did Fannie Mae, a government-sponsored enterprise, get so cozy with this crook, who had a rap sheet as big as his ego?
That's a very good question. And in fact, it was in 1998 that Fannie Mae actually named Stern to its exclusive attorney network. And he was immediately named Attorney of the Year! Well, that same year, he was named in a class action lawsuit alleging that he padded fees on foreclosed homeowners. Stern settled that case for $2.2 million.
According to legal testimony from a Fannie Mae official at that time, Fannie was warned before about troubles at the Stern law firm. But Fannie not only continued referring cases to Stern, but named him Attorney of the Year again in '99.
To nobody's surprise, not too long after Stern was sued again, this time for what every narcissistic pig with too much power and a sense of entitlement gets nabbed for, sexual harassment. Stern settled that suit in 2000 for an undisclosed amount.
Oh, but that's not all. By this time, Stern's fellow attorneys, as well as many homeowner activists, had started warning lenders, federal regulators, and the Florida bar about Stern. In 2002, the Florida Supreme Court reprimanded Stern for submitting potentially misleading fee affidavits. But with the full faith and continued business of Fannie Mae and Friends, none of the accusations and court settlements stalled the firm's continued growth.
Of course not. And the hits just keep coming. Just listen to this timeline. On July 20th, 2010, 2 investors filed a securities fraud class action suit alleging that Stern knowingly misled them by failing to disclose the problems with DJSP, a new business he had just started months earlier. Later in July, Florida Attorney Kenneth Trent filed a federal lawsuit against Stern's firm under a statute normally reserved for gangsters. Days later, the Florida Attorney General launched an investigation against Stern's firm and 3 other foreclosure mills. Then, in September, amidst all the accusations of fraud, David Stern suddenly dropped out of sight. And yet, after all of that, it took until October 22nd, after nearly every mega bank had withdrawn their cases from Stern's firm, that Fannie Mae finally fired him.
You're fired, you're fired, you're fired.
So the interesting question remains, were the officials at Fannie Mae that bad at judging character? Or did they just not care? Did they fail to do their due diligence on Mr. Stern and his sordid past? Or were his previous indiscretions just overlooked because he did a bang-up job at foreclosing on folks? And as jacked up as it may sound, according to Jacksonville legal aid attorney April Charney, there's a David Stern in every state.
Scary.
Sometimes more than one. Well, with Fannie Mae making the hiring decisions, that certainly comes as no surprise.
As for Stern, the payment on his $12 million line of credit with Bank of America is late. So is his rent on his headquarters. So it looks like sweet justice just may be singing her tune. And if federal and state prosecutors file criminal charges, he could end up in prison, which means the foreclosure king just might end up being some fellow's jailmate lifelong queen. Sweet dreams, Mr. Stern.
Well, that's all for this week's episode of the Humpday Update, and Woody and I want to personally thank all of you who posted our video on your Facebook page.
You're awesome.
And there were a bunch of you, and we just want you to know that from the bottom of our hearts, we really do appreciate your support.
So keep up the good work. Go ahead and post our new video on your Facebook page, as well as forward it to your friends.
And subscribe, as always, by clicking that green box right down there below us. And from all of us here at the Humpday Update, we hope you have a prosperous and productive, are you done? Rest of your week. And remember,
Finish strong!